All right, third attempt this morning. Don't know what happened there, if we just had a little bug or what, but we're gonna keep trying and see if we can do any better. Seems like when you do this, it's kind of hit or miss. You gotta just, I don't know if that's something to do with my, I know it's not my data plan, because we're gonna keep trying and, nope. I know it's not my data plan. I know, I think it's just, you know, you're out here in the water and sometimes you just don't get a signal, I guess. It's a neat little looking spot, got a little grass, got a little point out in front of it. Oop, got some grass on my bait. Did I get a bite? No. There he is. There he is. He just barely sucked it in too. Not a big one, but decent start. Decent start. Oh, here we go. Not a big one for Guntersville, but I'd have been awful proud of this fish last week where I was fishing. All right, it's a little start to the day. We like that. Finally got one to hit. All right, I'm gonna unplug my light here. Bear with me just a second. I'm gonna get my other deal plugged up for when I need it. All right, we working? Yeah, we're working. All right, let's get back at it. I don't need this one plugged in anymore. We got enough daylight, I think, now. All right, there we go. Got one. That fish just kind of slurped it in. He didn't really come up and slam it like they do sometimes. Maybe that's going to be the deal today. It's just might have to fish it just a little bit slower. Sometimes you got to do that. Let it sit for maybe a few more seconds. Ooh, that went a good one right on the edge out there. We got kind of a little grass pocket here. That fish came off of a little point going into this grass pocket. He just barely hooked too, man. Sometimes they do that. They just get out there and they just barely slurp it in. He had that back hook right in the corner of his mouth, and that was it. Wasn't much else. See some stuff on top that I didn't see, so we're gonna kind of. Whoa, that was a good one. Throw it right back in there and see if we get him. A lot of times you can do that. You can throw back in there and. Try a little slow pop, see if he comes back. Well, not today, huh? I think I'm 1 of 6 or 1 of 7 bites this morning. So they are not hitting it. They're not getting it. Whatever I'm doing something just a little bit wrong, because they are not getting it. I don't know if it's a color. I mean, I don't really have any other colors of this thing. This is about the only one I have that works the way I want it to. But I got a couple other sizes. Usually they like the smaller size as the year goes on, so I just, ooh, what have we got? I just saw a couple of fish blow up right there. I'm gonna throw in there, and I don't know if that was a bass or not though. That was odd. There were two fish came up and kind of rolled at the same time, but they didn't look like bass. If they were big. That wasn't a fish, that was just a bad cast. Let's see what we got. See if we can make a better cast in that little, there's a little pocket right there. Well, like I say, I saw a couple of fish roll right there, but nothing play with my bait. The deal with this bait is I fish it real fast. Just kind of skitter it across the top, and I try to create a reaction bite with it. And a lot of times, especially, this is really good bait on this lake in like late May, early June, when the grass is still, you have like a lot of stuff before it mats out. But you can scare that thing across, man. They will just absolutely slam it. Got a little barge going across there. Didn't even realize there was all that noise, but I guess there is. Oh, did I get him? Nope, I missed him. Dang. I was just saying, I saw a couple come up right through here a little earlier. Right when I said that, got a bite. Cannot get a hook in one today. Starting to get all those waves coming through here. It's one thing I've never been able to do good with if I'm fishing in an area and I want to fish a popper. If there's a lot of boat traffic that's creating, it doesn't matter how, if it's windy, I can catch them in just regular wind, but when there's boat wakes, for whatever reason, I do not seem to catch bass good on a popper when there's boat wakes. I don't know why that is, but it's just how it is. Yeah. Get some grass on the bait in here a little bit. Starting off, I mean, we're not getting a whole lot of them in the boat, but we're starting off pretty good here, getting some bites. I'm happy with bites. It at least lets me know there's fish here. And I'm doing a little bit of something right, even if they're not completely committing to it. That was a problem I had last week too. I probably lost 10 or 12 fish last week where they just weren't getting the bait good, and that's just a summertime thing, seems to be. For me, that's always been a summertime thing where it just seems like they just don't get the bait as good. I don't know if that's because they're just slashing the bait all, kind of trying to injure it or what, but backlash here too. They just need to put some new hooks on my bait. Get that backlash out of there. Maybe I'm not fishing it fast enough. Maybe that's the problem. It is, water is hot. Eelgrass right in here. I feel like I need to make another pass down through there. Many fishes I had bite. I don't know, what's everybody thinking? Keep moving or make another pass? Yeah, you only get one shot at the morning bite, so. Gotta try to make the best out of it when you can, I feel like. Got a little gar or something chasing it there. Yeah. Getting in a lot of grass right now. I'm gonna kind of shoot around to where I was going to start this morning. We're going to crank up. We'll try to do some. There's a little spot around the corner that I'm gonna go try out. So just bear with me. We'll be up and fishing in a couple minutes. All right. little bit of a little kind of a protected pocket over here. It's got a couple of little jut outs and points. It's got some different kinds of grass. Caught some fish back here on the popper before, so we're going to give it a shot this morning. Just kind of staying in this island area where I was catching fish before I can't even get to because of the because it's all matted over. But we're just gonna do a little fish on the edge of this thing. See if we can get some fish out off the edges of these mats, and then that sun comes out and I feel like we need to move in, we'll move in. I hope not, because I like fishing the edges way better than I like fishing the mats. Still getting my big topwater explosions, just not having to yank them out of heavy cover, which for me is just not my thing. Some people really like frog fishing, but I like it okay when they're on it. But man, it's a lot of empty casts, and you're not really fishing. When you fish a stump field, you fish around, you know that if I cast next to that stump, that's where I'm probably going to catch my fish. But when you're fishing a grass mat, you have no idea if it'll be out near the end, in the middle. If you cast 3 feet to the left of them, there's a good chance that the fish never even sees your bait. There's just a lot of stuff with grass, with mat fishing, that does not appeal to me, and that's why I don't mind grass fishing. But when I can do it like this and just cover water on the outside, I like doing that. But when I have to, we got some grass going way on out here. I'll give this a couple of tries. There's a little bit. We got some stuff just under the water. We got a little bit of color in this water in here. Had a little pop-up storm this morning right before I put the boat in, and it just passed through, and it was all nice and calm. And now it's a little front's gone through, and it's gotten a little bit windy, which not a big deal. I'll take the wind this time of year. If it's going to be hot, I wish the wind would blow a little bit. There he is. Oh no, another one. That's like the 7th fish I missed this morning. They're just not getting it. Never even hooked him. Oh, there's another one. He's on it. Oh, there, I got him. Yeah. Ooh, good fish. Good fish. Come on back, baby. Get out of that grass. Come on. Oh, he got off. It's like a 3.5 pounder, man. Dang. Cannot win today. That's all right. That was fun. I like them. I just like watching them blow up on that top water. It's nice when I get them in too, so I can show them off. But the fun for me is a lot of that top water action. These little bitty treble hooks, they'll get you every time in this grass. You got to kind of, that's the only problem. Hit the wrong button there. There we go. You have to kind of you want to get them up, and out of that grass, but those treble hooks will just pull out. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You're kind of in trouble if you do, and if you don't, you know. Got a little backlash. Let's get that out of there. That's a good bite, though. they're not being real aggressive with the way they're hitting it. They're just kind of, earlier in the season they'll come out clean out of the water to hit one. These are just kind of swiping at it. I say maybe I might try my bigger one. Maybe I'll get some. I just feel like I get a lot more bites on this smaller one. I guess bites don't really matter if you're not getting them in the boat, right? But I'm just happy to get some bites. I fished a long time last week, man, without bites. Yeah, bait's got something on it. Or not, maybe not. This is a neat little place. We got a little, kind of comes out and gets shallow, and there's a little pocket in here. Yeah, that's what's going on. If I make a pass through here and get some bites, I may turn around and try that bigger. And if I can't get a hook in any of them, I made a bad cast there. But if I may make a pass through here, and if I get a few bites, I may make another pass with that bigger popper and see if maybe I can get them to commit to a bigger one. Ooh, a little something behind the boat. What's going on, Alan? Oh yeah, love a good quick release. Wish I could have got him a little bit closer to the boat before I got a little bit more play out of him before he got off, but that's just how it goes. I've only gotten one in the boat this morning, but I've had 7 or 8 hits. That's kind of a weird morning for me. Yeah, usually I get a few more hookups than that. But just how it goes. Tell you what, even though I'm missing them, it's hard to put this bait down when you're just getting the bites. I have caught a few good ones right through here in the past on this bait. But usually it's before all this stuff mats out. This is a little later than what I normally come down here. I usually quit about the first. Ooh, that was not a good cast. Let's see if I can get bailed out. Maybe there'll be a fish on that point that can bite it before I get all fouled up. No, I'm okay. I've got good grass all the way back out here where I'm sitting, so you just never know where you're gonna get a bite. Could you have one hit it right at the boat, or you get it way out on the end of the cast, or right at the boat. You just never know in this grass. But that's why I like using this bait. I can kind of fish through it pretty fast. Maybe figure out if they're gonna be out off the grass line, if they're on the right where it surfaces out. Ooh, a little light bait. Give me a little overrun there. Some guys will go down a bank and all they do is just fish the grass edge, or they'll fish the mat. I kind of try to do it all a little bit. I'm not gonna mess with the mat so much just because it's slow, but I don't have any problems making some casts out off the edge a little bit where it may be a little bit deeper. But you normally when you're doing this kind of thing, you get them off the edge on these top waters. So there are exceptions. We're gonna if nothing else, it looks fishy, so that makes me happy where I can fish somewhere it looks fishy and not have to be fishing out over a rocky point or something like that where you have no, I like to be able to see where I'm fishing sometimes. Do a lot of that in the winter time, just fishing creek mouths and stuff like that where you don't really there should be fish there, but you're not really fishing anything in particular. It's kind of fishing structure. Ooh, got a nice breeze going through here, I'll tell you that. Hopefully it stays just about like this all day long. I can deal with this. Makes it a little bit hard for the boat position and stuff like that, but make a couple of casts right out in front of the boat. There's just well, of course I do that and I land right on the patch of grass. There's just some high stuff right underneath this boat. And it looks good, so I'm gonna make another cast out here, just a little bit off where it just went. See what we can do. Yeah, I'm gonna back out just a touch. We got a little mix of some hydrilla and that pondweed in here, and that kind of drops off a little bit, so I'm gonna make a few casts out here where it doesn't have much going. Doesn't look like much, but you just never know where you're gonna catch them. A little opening in the grass. We'll get in a little closer and make a cast in there. when I'm fishing a grass line like this, I do like to cast at any irregularities I see from the surface. Sometimes that means there's a little deeper spot or something like that where there might be some fish holding off. Yeah, this pondweed, some of it's just barely touching the surface in here, and then some of it looks just so awesome. This is exactly the kind of stuff I like to fish. Hard to get a fish out of it if they get down in it, but I've had good luck here fishing this kind of grass. There he is. Gotta get him up. Yeah. All right. Again, not a monster and barely hooked. He's just hooked right in the corner, but it's a good fish, good quality fish. Good quality fish. Skinny. Skinny summer grass bass right there. Kind of let it sit for a second while I was preoccupied doing something else. All right, number 2 on the day. Two decent ones. Maybe I need to give it a little bit longer of a pause there, or maybe he would have hit it anyway. I don't know. But I mean, barely hooked. Just, it's got that thing right in the corner of his mouth. I don't know how they're, I mean, this water's clear and that's not a very big bait, so I don't know why they don't get the whole thing. That was right when I'm still contemplating the bigger bait. It's a little bit easier to fish, it's a little bit easier to cast for sure in this wind, but it's also a little bit easier to move in this choppier water. I feel like they might get a better look at it. Ooh, I don't know about that one. But hey, you got it. We're getting some bites. That's the name of the game for me. Sometimes you put them in the boat, sometimes you don't, but you can't do anything if you can't give them a bite. I don't know how that one's gonna work out. Yeah. No quick release on that last one, Alan. Had to take him off the old-fashioned style. Now out here we've got a lot of hydrilla just everywhere. Over there we've got that pondweed. Make a few casts just out here, just across all this stuff. I mean, this is what makes grass fishing difficult, is you want to fish an edge or something, but we don't have an edge. I mean, I can try to go out there in the middle, but it'll probably just be more deeper hydrilla. So you just really have no idea unless you can get keyed in on something. You just got no idea where you're gonna get a bite out here. But I'm gonna. An osprey there, come take a look at my bait. I try to give it all a shot and see, kind of throw it up against the wall and see what sticks. Yeah, now we're back in that good pond weed stuff I like. Ooh, there's a drum or a bass? That looks like a drum. And we got a dead drum something's been eating on. Good turtle food right there. I was over here fishing one time, and I was fishing my popper in the water real clear, and I watched the bass track it for 20 or 30 feet. It's probably about a 5-pounder. He was following it. He was way back on it, but he never did come up, and he never did commit on it. But I saw him kind of scooting through the grass, through all the lanes, trying to track it down. Thought that was pretty neat. Oh, come on. You don't normally see how they interact with your bait, you just see them blow up on it. Not seeing any schools of shad this morning. Where I was fishing last week was in the Coosa River, and there were schools of shad everywhere, but I'm not really seeing that here. They may be all up in the grass. Ooh, was that a fish? Could have been. Throw it right back in there and if it was, he didn't come back and get it. Ooh, I got a little bad spot in my line. Let's retie that real quick. I don't even know when the last time I retied was, so it's probably time. You know what I always say, if you think you need to retie, do it. Because I'm almost certain that you will. And you don't want to lose lose a big fish and your bait because of something you could have prevented, you know. That's That's the way I look at it. Oh man, all this out here just looks so good. It's just so hard to figure out where you need to be casting. There's a little, I just see little clumps of stuff out here, and that to me just indicates that there's high spots in the grass. Kind of cast around those and see if maybe something's, see if something's hanging out. What was that? Yeah. You get some eelgrass kind of caught up in those high spots, and if you cast around it, sometimes it's a little bit deeper around them. One thing I have found about grass fish is if you find, especially before it tops out, you find places where the grass is a little bit higher, a lot of times that's where your fish are going to be hanging out. That's been good, a good observation for me in the past. Especially on Chickamauga. You can do that on Chickamauga. You can go around and find grass patches that are just a little bit higher and cast in the highest spot, and that's where you're going to catch your fish most of the time. That's where they seem to congregate. Give that bigger one a try for a few minutes here. We can make anything happen with the big boy. I would like to be able to catch them on this because this is a little heavier line. And I can cast it farther and more accurate, and I can fish it a little bit faster, I think. Yeah, I cast it right through some grass there, but the downside is this rod's a little heavier and it's a little harder to move through the water, so it wears me out just a little quicker than that other one. That little area back there has usually been my better stretch because of the different grass. I haven't done as well back in here, but we're gonna fish through here. I mean, even this bait's not even that big. It's bigger than the one I've been using, but it's not that big. Oh, come on. I just feel like that other one kind of better emulates the size shad that we may be seeing today. If they're anything like what I was seeing on the Coosa last week, they were like 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Oh, there's something. You get it? Oh, he's on it. That fish straight up hooked himself. He came up and hit it, and I never felt him, and then he jumped, and I still never felt him. All right. Oh, hey. Oop. Not the same size as the ones we were catching on the other bait, but dang, he hooked himself so weird too. Ooh, he's bleeding. Let's see if we can get that. Well, I don't know what's causing him to bleed because he's not hooked anywhere in his gills. It's superficial. Come on. There we go. He's bleeding like crazy. We got him back in. Got him back in quick. I'm gonna rinse all this blood off my rails a little bit. If it dries like that, it's hard to clean. Not that I've been doing a whole lot of cleaning on my boat lately. I keep the outside pretty clean, but I don't do a real good job on the inside. But hey, caught one on the big bait. They wouldn't get a bigger fish to hit it though. That was the little tiny guy. That's number 3 on the day. He was right up on the grass line. That better one I caught was on the grass line too, but the one I actually got in, the last one I got in before that fish, he was out off of it a little bit. I have caught a big one on this lure this year. I caught one that was 7.9 on it. That was pretty cool. Unfortunately, I was having some overheating issues with the GoPro that day, which sounds like an excuse, but it's not, and it is. But didn't capture it on video. Wished I had. Oh man, what is going on? If this bite kind of goes away, my plan today is to fish some crankbaits, maybe a wake bait. If I can get it around this, I mean, if this crankbait, maybe some swim jigs, stuff like that. I might have to go to a little bit different situation to do that kind of stuff. I mean, I can fish swim jig around this. I can't fish the crankbait around it so much. But we'll see how the day plays out. We just kind of probably gonna do a little bit. I don't know if I'm gonna stick around. There's no boat traffic in here, so it makes me feel like I can just spend the day. But I would also like to try a couple other areas that I was thinking about, but they're pretty long runs. And, you know, I have no idea what the grass and everything looks like in there, so. we'll make those decisions when it's time to make those decisions. That's what it's all about. Seeing what we're unraveling the puzzle for the day. That's what makes it fun. Just a lot of places for them to hide with all this grass. So if I gotta bear down and do some frogging, I will. I just hope it doesn't come to that. Actually, this little spot right here looks like it could be a pretty good frog place. Do I have one out? I do have a little popper out. It's just got a little bit more sparse situation. I may give it a try. Let's give this little spot a try with the popping frog. I got a little popping frog, and one of my viewers gave me a spro that I need to try. I have fished it a couple times. I haven't caught any fish on it yet. Ooh, I'm glad I didn't get a bite because I have no drag. There we go. This thing's basically set up the same way. Just fish it like a popper. I mean, I'm fishing it the exact same way I'm fishing that other one, just over the top of these mats. Yeah, this has got some, looks like we got a little bit of coontail in here. We got some hydrilla, but we've got holes. So that's why I'm fishing this. That's why I'm fishing this popper, because I can kind of, if they want to come up and get it, they can come up and get it. They can see it pretty good, and I can keep it moving fast. Yeah, I'm just kind of fishing what's in front of me here. I'm trying a little bit lighter rod. This is just one I had laying around the house. It's a 6.5 foot medium heavy. I just like it because I can cast the bait better. It has nothing to do with yanking these fish out of this grass. It is definitely not the right rod for that, but I want to see if I can get away with it. It's a lot more enjoyable to cast and work the bait than like a big stiff, like a standard frogage rod would be. And this bait that I have on here, normally I use it on a little bit areas that don't have, they're not as heavily grassed. They're not as heavily matted out like what you see up against the bank. So while I'm in here doing all this, I'm always looking to see if I see any bait fish swimming around or anything like that. Trying to keep my eyes open, you know. See what kind of clues the nature gives me for the day to see how we're doing. See if we can, you know, sometimes you see a bunch of bluegill, so you need something that looks a little bit more bluegillish. Sometimes you see a bunch of shad. Use a shad type bait. Something like that. Just whatever. And none of that's hard and fast because it's bass fishing. So there's always exceptions to the rule. Most of the time I use Shimano reels for most of my stuff. But the drag on Shimano reels It's not that heavy duty. So for this, I like a luge reel because they have a lot more drag on their reels. So you can really winch it down, and you can pull the fish out of there a little bit better than you can otherwise. I mean, it's a little short rod too, so you don't get as much leverage as you will with a longer, heavier rod either, but it's braid, so when you pull on it, you're going to stick them if they got it. Then you just got to figure out how to get them out. Oh, bait filling up with water. That's what they do. But this is mostly hydrilla back here. You got some ospreys out there chirping, screeching, whatever you want to say. My bait's spooking some bait fish in this light stuff. Where it might be good is on the other side where that wind's hitting it. If you could hold your boat, there's probably a mat of eelgrass, and then you've got your other stuff behind it. Come on. We'll fish this last little mat in front of me here, and then we'll go back to the popper. But I mean, even that little mat, that's probably as big as like 2 or 3 of my boats. And I feel like I have to, if I want to fish it thoroughly, I feel like I have to make a whole bunch of casts in there. You know, a bunch of different angles. That way possibly a fish will see my bait and possibly hit. That's why I just don't really like the mat fishing so much, because it's just, I mean, I've cast 4 or 5 feet to the left of where I just cast, and it's entirely possible that a fish in there didn't see my bait on the last cast, but we'll see it on that cast. And I'll probably, if I do this enough, I'll have one blow up on it at some point. Getting them in's another question, but I will have some bites, I think, if I was to do this. If I was to do this long enough, I'm gonna get some bites. People kayaking over there. All right, enough of that for now. Let's go back to our little popper and see what we can do. Actually, we're going to keep using the bigger one for now. Right in this cut before it matted up, I got into a little school of them about a month ago. Or actually a little over a month ago. They were just in there. I don't know if it was a shad spawn or what, but got a bunch of fish in there. A couple over 3 pounds, so they were decent ones. There's definitely some fish in there. I don't know if they're going to come out, and I don't know if there'll be fish move out here where it's a little bit deeper. or if they stay up in those little cuts. If I was a bass, I'd probably stay in the dark in those cuts. I may try to work my way up in there a little bit and see if I can get some bites on that. That's one little area that I will try to fish a frog a little bit, I think. Kind of nose up in here, just see what it looks like, and not much feel in the back of this little pocket today, even though we do have a nice ripple going on. Oop. Oh, there he is. There we go. It's kind of another little guy. It's kind of chunked it out to that little. That fish was kind of out off the edge. Oh, no, not yet. Not a biggie. For some reason, the smaller bait seems to get the bigger bites. I don't understand that. But getting some bites. There we go. All right. And what I have learned on this lake is always throw back in there. It's like a lot of times it seems like you'll double up if you just throw in the same spot. Not in this case, but a lot of times. Okay. There, I caught a fish on that, so let me put it down. Oh no. My little tail is just moving around. I might throw a little super glue on that here in a second. We'll go up in here and see what we can do around some of this stuff that's say. We're just going to nose up in here a little bit and fan cast around, see if we can get some bites. We're just going to see what it looks like too. Yeah. It's a lot of bait activity in here for sure. Put my glasses on, maybe I can see in there. Oh yeah, that helps a little bit. Actually, that helps a lot. Ooh, there's some activity in here. You know, if we get one on, who knows if we'll get it out, but we gotta get one on first. Some guys like to pull and stop. I just kind of like to shake my bait and just keep it moving forward, so it's always making a little ripple on the water. That's been the way I've done the best on a frog. I feel like you just keep making a profile for them to zoom in on. I mean, I know they can come up and see it through the, you know, see it from underneath and everything when you're pulling and stopping, but that's just not the way I like to do it. I like to just kind of shake it and to keep my rod tip moving like that. Just kind of, and you're not necessarily moving it real far when you're doing that. You're just kind of keeping the bait fluttering, so you get those ripples coming off of it. That's the way I do it. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do it, and different people have different results. Ooh, there goes that patented lose. That patented lose deal where the pinion gear doesn't disconnect from the main gear and makes a lot of noise. All right. When I hit these open areas, I'm fishing it kind of fast, and then when I get to the mats, I kind of slow it down and just kind of flutter it along. Oh yeah, there it goes. Lovely. Definitely looks bassy in here. I can't get up in there, but I wanted to see if I could get up in there where I caught fish a month ago, but not that they're going to be there. But there is a lot of activity up in there. It's one of those deals where you might be well served to push pole up in there if you got one, and you know, just spend some time. I'm gonna make about 2 more casts at most in here, and then I'm moving on. Probably just 1 more cast. Yeah, this bait that I'm using, I've got it, you know, they usually come with a belly weight in them to make them land right and make them work right through the grass. I took that belly weight out and actually did that because the way I normally fish this popping frog is I'll cast it over real sparse stuff, and I fish it real fast like a pop-R. Well, it doesn't always want to stay upright when you land it in the grass that way. So when you're working through real thick stuff, it's not the best bait in the world to do for that. But it does do a good job when you're down here and you're on a popper bite and there's eelgrass everywhere, but you know there's fish in the area. It's a good bait for that. But otherwise, not so much. All right, I'll get out here a little bit and I'll clear this trolling motor off, and then we got some grass. You got a big old thing of hydrilla there. That's hydrilla and some eelgrass mixed in. All right, how are we doing? Not too bad on our grass area. Yeah, they're just, I mean, it's just so much grass. You just pick where do you want to fish? You want to fish it out deeper? You want to fish it up where there's a mat? I mean, it's 5 or 6 feet in here, and you got grass coming maybe deeper than that. It's coming all the way to the surface. So you got a lot of places for them to hide. You just gotta hope they come up and like what you're offering if you're fishing a topwater. The water's clear. In clear water, bass will usually come after a topwater pretty good. I've caught bass in 20 and 30 feet of water on topwater. They're not necessarily on the bottom, but that's, you know, they will come up and hit one. All right. Trying a few casts out here in the deeper stuff, and then we'll get back to the. Wish I could have a really big one come up this deeper stuff, because honestly, I might prefer to fish it. Well, I would prefer to fish that because it's easier to get my bait through. There's like deeper and then like a little shallow section right here where my boat's sitting. And then it gets deeper on the other side of it. It's kind of a... I think they'd be hanging. I think you get one in this little section where it's just a little bit higher. Right up off the bottom, right in this area. I think you get one right in there. But that hadn't been the case. Has not been the case at all. All right. Definitely not hard and fast action this morning, but we still have some cloud cover, so that's good. Hopefully that can stay up for a little while. I think I'm gonna go back to my smaller one. I just feel like I get more bites on it, even though most of the fish I've caught this morning have been on the bigger one. They've been smaller fish. We've had bigger bites on the smaller bait, and we've had more bites on the smaller bait. Just hadn't been able to hook them. Ooh, well, that's one thing that could be contributing. I got a bent up hook. Very much bent up too. There we go. Not sure how many more of these tails. Oh, and I got a dull one right there. Okay. Not sure how many of these tails I got with me. I might have one more. I may not have any more. If that thing starts getting ripped up, we may be out of luck on that. Get this backlash out and make a little cast over this stuff on the outside. See if maybe we get a little surprise bite. See a little high spot right there, it looks like. It's pretty light boat traffic for Guntersville. I don't know if it's just because it's getting late in the later in the summer, and those guys that tournament fish and everything are burned out and they're just kind of done, or if it's there was a little bit of rain this morning. I don't know if maybe that kept some of them away this morning. They saw there was going to be a little pop-up storm and they said, no, I'm good. But it's nice kind of having it all to myself. Not getting rocked around real hard. Just kind of working this popper along this grass line, hoping for the best. As we get a little bit further down through here, we've got a couple of places where there's some different, that little high spot out there where there's some different grass moved in, or just some mixed in rather. Most of this is hydrilla. He just showed himself right there. We'll make a cast and see if we can get him. That's pretty good. Not sure if it's a bass or not, but the wind is whipping, and I don't mind. It's coming out of the south. That's usually pretty good for over here if you can figure out what you want to do, because it keeps all the eelgrass away. Keeps it all blown out where we don't want it, or where we want it. We don't want it where we're fishing. Got some high spots out there. One thing about this bait too is I don't really like fishing it into the wind. It's not doing it for me. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we can. Cast a little swim jig around and see if that does anything for me. Maybe with this wind we can get something to kind of. And I brought a chatterbait too. Chatterbait's old faithful on Guntersville. You know, everybody loves a chatterbait. I think a swim jig comes through the grass a little bit better. Actually, I know it comes through the grass better, but I just have a hard time. Like, I always foul up a chatterbait. Like, it's a very frustrating bait for me to fish. I think I'm gonna cut back across where we caught some fish earlier and try that bigger popar on our way out. We tried the small one, we can try the big one. And then you just have, I mean, all this has good looking grass down there. It's everywhere. It just covers this entire pocket. You got some little high spots here and there. Pick our big one. Let's pick our big one up and do a little something here. Actually, I've got some issues where my thread's all coming undone here, so I'm gonna should have some super glue. I'm gonna super glue this tail a little bit better. Let me see here. I might just change it outright. I got like one little feather left on there. Let's see what we got. That'll help keep it in place for a little longer before I change it out. I think I got one more of these. I'm not sure. The other ones, I'm not sure if I've got any more of them, but I'm pretty sure I've got one more of these in the box that I can put on if this one comes loose. There, it seems to be holding up a little better. All right. All right. Till a big old monster decides he wants to come up and tear it up. I'm okay with a big monster fish tearing up my bait. I'm not okay with it just falling apart. Let's get back over here where we're getting some of the higher grass. Oh, he missed it. That's a gar. That is a gar. Wrong species, but at least we're still getting some bites. on now. We're just eating up the grass. One thing about this big bait versus the small one is this one has they've at least been getting a hold of it. That small one they just weren't getting a hold of. I haven't had too many missed. I mean, I've only had a few bites on this, but I haven't missed them. That's Ooh, we've got another little bit of clouds coming through. There's some bass that go with them. Had a couple of bites through here earlier. Just wanted to double back with a little bit bigger bait. Want to see if maybe something would do this. Hit on this thing. The smaller one has been getting some bites, but they just haven't been taking it. And this one, they seem to have been, fish have been smaller than what I've been getting on the bigger bait's been getting smaller fish, but the smaller bait has been getting more bites from more quality fish. But I've been getting these in, so we'll see if we can maybe get a little bit bigger fish come up and hit that thing. This water's hot, so I'm fishing this thing real fast. Just kind of skittering it off the edge of that grass, and almost every one of them today has hit it on the pause. So I'm trying to make myself pause it for a little bit longer than what I normally would when they're a little bit more aggressive. Go back where I lost that good one earlier. I am gonna put the small one back on over there because it's a little bit more calm. I feel like over there where it was a little bit, the wind was a little heavier, I needed a little bit bigger bait. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on because we'll go ahead and put it on because it's not quite as, the wind's not quite as choppy over here as it was over there. I feel like you need something that has a little bit bigger profile when you have some chop. That way they can get a little bit better look at it. This is not a very big bait. This is a little 65 size pop R like you get from Walmart. I've got it modded out a little bit to where it's even smaller than what you get from Walmart. It's sanded down on the side so it kind of spits and walks a little bit, kind of dances left and right. Does some stuff that one out of the box won't do. And I've caught plenty of them out of the box, so they will catch fish. But this one, when you're fishing it fast like this just does a little bit better job. From my experience. Right in here coming up, we had a couple of good bites earlier, so maybe we can come back through here and maybe get a couple more. And I went through there a little bit faster than I probably should have too. But and I've never fished on the other side of this, so maybe I need to go on around and try that if there's not, well, it looks like there's a boat going in there. So feel like this thing just looks like a good, easy meal for them, and they ought to hit it. And normally they do. Hooks are a little bent out. Yeah, that'll be okay. Well, shoot. Well, I guess there's a little peak of sun, and these fish aren't worried about whether it's cloudy or not. They just think it's daylight, and they're done top watering. What it seems like, doesn't it? I just know something's going to come and blow up on this thing at any minute, though. Sometimes you can just feel it. Of course, I could be completely wrong. What these guys are doing, these guys are just idling around. They're going. Oh, I didn't get another bite down through there. It kind of stinks. Well, we'll make a little ride here. There's a little spot in between a couple islands I want to check, so we're going to roll over there and then see what happens, and that's all we can do. Just keep checking stuff till we try to run into some. That's so strange. That's strange to me how that topwater bite was really good this morning. It just about that's like the light. Like normally you keep clouds like this. You can maintain a good. Maintain a good topwater bite for a long time, but not today. Making it rough over here. Do a little, not gonna be able to fish topwater over here. I'm gonna try a little cranking. I'm gonna try this grass line first, and then cross over. There's some stuff out in the middle. It's like some I think it's some hydrilla and coontail and stuff. Maybe there'll be a little line that we can, maybe we can find a little line on the fish finder and get some bites. Oh man, my thoughts. My brain is going a million miles an hour. I really can't even hardly keep a full, complete sentence today. I'm gonna try this little. Get a little bit of color this far. I'm gonna try a little pearl color bait. And I got one that's a little bit more natural like that. I don't feel like that one's gonna do the trick. And I'm gonna rip this thing. I'm not fishing it slow. I'm just stopping and going it, keeping it moving fast, trying to get that reaction bait, or reaction bite rather. This is a fiberglass rod I'm using right now. If I start having issues where I'm not able to, like when I'm getting bogged down in the grass and I can't rip my bait free, I'll put this on something a little bit stiffer. Speaking of that, there we go. We got one. Nice one too. Look at that guy. Ooh. There we go. He's hooked kind of funky. I'm gonna try to get him in the corner of his mouth. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Ripping a crankbait. There we go. Made a little change. Put a fish in the boat right away. That's good. That's what we like. Just using a little pearl colored balsa crankbait, ripping it through this grass. So I'll take it. I will take fish like that all day long. Yeah, we got some. That's coontail right there. We can pick up another one or two right through down this bank. That would be nice. Give me some confidence in what I'm doing. Put some new hooks on this thing last night, and they're a little bit smaller than they're the same size as the ones I had on it, like by the company. They're two different companies, so they're number 6s, which are just a small hook to begin with. But the ones that were on there are Mustad, and these are Gamakatsus, and they're just a little bit smaller. But I was a little worried about how they would hook up with a fish, and it did all right on that one, at least. But this time of year, I was talking about this earlier, about how fish, we got a lot of grass coming out here. That's not gonna work. Not gonna work with a treble hook bait. You can't cast right in the grass. You gotta just cast around the grass. Ooh. But I was talking about how a lot of times this time of year, you're just fishing smaller baits. Can make a difference. They just seem to like smaller baits this time of year for some reason. I don't know if that's shad. What I was seeing last week on a different lake is that the shad are only 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. Yeah. Ooh. So when you have small bait like that that's starting to be the major force, sometimes you just gotta match the hatch. This stuff right here, doesn't matter what you fish in it or what kind of rod you have, you're not snapping it free off of that stuff. This is what I think is called sago pondweed, and I like fishing it, but man, it's hard to get them out of there if you got them, and it likes to stick to your baits. What is going on here? It's gonna be bouncy out here. That was a bite right there. Let's try a little bit out, just out a little bit deeper where we kind of do a little bit better job ticking the top of that grass. I don't know what depth. Yeah, a lot of times these fish aren't necessarily using a specific water column. Ooh, big time backlash. Look at it for casting right in the wind, didn't it? There's a little bit more of an edge from what I've seen when I've been over there before. Nasty conditions though. Got some heavy winds. I might be better served to run up the river a little ways and around the corner somewhere and get out of this wind. Of course, it could be just as bad up there. You never know. One thing for sure, you definitely get to see what kind of grass you're fishing doing this. There is no question on that regard. Ooh, the wind's whipping. Coming straight out of that creek in front of me. Got miles to pick up some headwind. Coming across this river, white capping. Some nasty stuff out there. Well, we caught one real quick and it kind of gave me some hope, and then haven't had another bite since. So keep working out towards the river, and then we'll cross over and just kind of drift with the wind. Going that other way, there's another little grass line over there that I'm gonna try if I can find it. Just kind of a straight line of grass, and I should be able to just get around the edges of it and fish right over the top of it or down the side of it, and it'll be a quick little pass. We can see if there's anything going on through there. Ooh. I don't know if you can see out in front of me, but man, there's some white caps going on out there. This little grass patch is protecting a little bit. Fish don't care about that stuff. But, aha, oh, I had one. I had one, and he got off. Thought it was just grass. It's good though, another bite. Another missed fish. At least we're getting bites. That's what I'm happy about. At least we're doing something right. Sometimes these are tough conditions to fish in, but you'd think there'd be a few. I mean, the fish don't care about this stuff. You'd think we'd get a few more fish with as nasty as it is out here today. Little clumps in there. Not sure how much of what I'm seeing out here is just free floating stuff, and how much is, yeah, I think most of this is just free floating. I'm gonna get up a little closer to that edge. We've got some eelgrass that's breaking free and just kind of sweeping across right here. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to fish right through here, I don't think. Nope. too much stuff right there, I think. Too much stuff on top of the water for me to be able to work my bait good. I'm gonna, hopefully when I get down around where some of this stuff is topped out, it'll clear up just a little bit and we'll have some more grass underneath. Well, now we got the other problem. Woo. Well, the other problem being bogging down in the stuff that's under the water. Yep. I'm not going to spend too much more time on this. I see a little bit of a grass line out there. I'm going to kind of try to get up to it and make a few casts, but it's just, yeah, that's kind of, it's just a frustrating way to fish, I think. See some good looking shallow stuff right here, but as windy as it is, it's probably all blown out. I don't think I've ever done any good on stuff. I mean, you can see how hard I'm bouncing. I'm gonna crank out for just a minute and go over to the other side. This is it's not ideal. Whew. Kind of get ourselves in a little line here, and then grass everywhere out here, but I'm just gonna kind of drift and cast. And if we get a bunch of, if we have a situation where we're just eating up eel grass like we were over there, then we'll move on. I see a row of it right in front of me, so I'm just kind of, whew, this is nasty. Yeah, this is tough for the boat control, so not going to do this for very long, I don't think. Like I say, we're just going to kind of make a pass, just let it drift down through there. That's grass. If I catch a fish or two, I may mark it. But I will say this bait's running just about right for the depth this grass out here is. Ticking just the way it should be. but it's nasty. I'm getting bounced around good. I did some fishing out here in the spring with a jerkbait and did really good. There's some deep grass out here. What we got? Oh, we got a big old patch of eelgrass. There we go. Got some coontail. That's my favorite. I like that coontail out here. Get a big mama and the coontail. All right, so now I'm starting to see. No, that's not it. I thought I was going to see a little bit of a grass line, but ooh. Bouncing and behaving out here. There was a boat, big boat just went by. I think that's the wake from that, but I mean, we still got some mega waves coming through here for this little boat. I think it's just a little too bouncy for this shallow water, but we don't have much further to go. There'll be a few goodies out here. Ought to be a couple. is. All right. All right, I've had enough of the abuse. Let's move on. Oh, gotta work your core out. Trying to keep up with all that. That will work. Actually, I'll make a few more casts here. Let me see. Yeah, there's a little point that comes up here that we're kind of coming up on. So I'm gonna I'll fish down to that point and then we'll move on. Ooh, this is just a little too heavy. Wind's just a little too heavy, I think. Water temperature is about 86, 87. That little point should be right in here. No bites. Grass. Okay. I gotta find somewhere I can fish and not get beat up, so I'm gonna make a move. Ooh. Time to make a move, get a little water, and hopefully we can find some fish. We got good depth in here. They're all, I mean, like aside from it just being just white capping out here, it ought to be some fish. No, it's white capping, and there's a bunch of eelgrass out here, so kind of messing me up a little bit. We'll kind of go through this little pass. There's a on the other side, there's kind of a little migration route looking area. Actually, I'm gonna give it a try right here too. There's another little place where it kind of comes along this bank and then it cuts in. I've never fished over here before, but should be a little bit smoother than where we were, where it's blowing straight down the chute at us. About 10-11 feet right now, and there's no grass out here, but we'll kind of keep heading towards this point, looking to see what I see. Maybe there is some grass going down the bank. We'll give that bank a shot. Okay, so right here I'm already starting to see some grass. Kind of work our way up in here, and not real high, it's just kind of coming off the bottom a little bit, and then now it's gone while we're going through this. We're going over this there's a little cut in, and then we'll come over this side, and then hopefully we'll start seeing some more. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of work my way towards that bank. We'll work in towards that bank, make a few casts out here if I see anything that looks extra special. I'm just gonna keep working my little shallow crankbait, and maybe we'll run into something. Can't tell if there's another grass line right out there or not, but I see, can't tell, it may just be a little where the clear water's mixing with the stuff that got churned up. This thing only goes, 4 feet deep or something, so I'll find out real quick if I cast over there. May not be any grass out in the middle of this at all. Looks like we got some, but I can work down this other grass line with this thing, and this isn't much of a point. It just kind of slides in here. Yeah, let's go on up to the grass, and it's a little bit protected. Once we get around this point, we'll kind of work up in here and see what's going on, then we'll get around to the other side, check that out, just do some quick moving around, see what happens. All right. Yeah. At the very least, this wind, I like to get some dirty water when I can. This wind's got it at least stirred up a little bit. That should make it a little bit better for our bait choice. We got some mud coming off of this bank, kind of creating a little bit of a mud line going into this grass line. Get in here just a little closer. Ooh. Maybe we'll have a couple of fish hanging in this mud line for us. far, no evidence to support what I was hoping. Need to fish something that doesn't have treble hooks on it through here, but I just want to try it out. Try my little small square bill, or it's not even a square bill, it's just a little crankbait, a little small crankbait hypothesis here. Grass. So much stuff floating in the water out here, it makes it a little bit tough. Just kind of trying to keep that thing right over the top of it. When I can. Get out here, and then you have the occasional high spot with some other stuff on it, with some other grasses. Target rich environment for sure. Just a little calmer, a wake bait might be the right thing. Well, and if we didn't have all this stuff, coming all the way, floating on the top. Yeah, let's take it in a little bit closer. It's kind of a little row of grass right out here in front of me. I'm gonna kind of put my boat where the grass is, where the there's like a row of floating eelgrass is what I mean. So I'm just ripping this thing right across the top of this grass, just trying to get a reaction bite. You're going to use crankbaits and grass, you're going to have to deal with some frustration. It's just part of it. Got a little hole or two, right? Oh, that was bad. Thought it was a hole, but it's some coontail growing up through the hydrilla. Yeah. Back out just a little bit more. Not really feeling this little area right through here. Just wanted to take a look at it.